This is your WWE news, always on a Wednesday morning. Now, there's been a lot going on the grapevine, a very famous song. I think it was a Marvin Gaye song, Once Upon a Time. You tell me in the comments. Well, we got the French intelligence saying the Russians, they could invade Europe in 2028. Take it with a pinch of salt. And then there's a story which came about the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier, which was currently in port in some Greek port, yeah? And it looks like the Greek authorities have arrested some group, obviously Iranian sleeping cells. They managed to catch them red-handed, and they managed to move the aircraft carrier to a more safer place in Croatia. And this story of what you may call it, various countries like Italy, Spain, probably another few, saying we're not going to let you use our airspace or the bases where the Americans have bases. They'll probably just say you can't use that one, you can use the other one instead. Because in Germany there is a big contingency of American military still there. We're talking about 50,000 soldiers or military assets there. Italy's another hub. You know, I don't think they'll withdraw from Europe. It's just probably for both sides, for America to distract their enemies. And obviously it's another propaganda move to keep the punters at bay, because here in Italy, like in some European countries, you know, after the war there was this fear of communism taking over. Communism is transferred or transformed into something else, wokeness. And there's been a lot of these No King protests. I think about a few days ago. All that bullshit is about, you know, stupid people. I think half of them or most of them haven't got the foggiest idea what they're protesting about. No, they tend to be, you know, dragged in this idiocracy show, which society is basically going down. Well, will Trump withdraw, or will there be a major strike? You know, you've probably heard about in the Israeli parliament the death penalty for Palestinian prisoners. Therefore they're going to create death camps. It sounds like stuff of World War II. You know, these Nazis in ETs, they're created from the same lot where these so-called Nazis were created and communism created. It's the same type of political ideology. The only difference is they are both extremes of the political spectrum, basically, really. And the petrol dollar. The Iranians, the ships which are currently passing through, and they can pay a toll in yuan, which happens to be the Chinese currency. And therefore you're going to see a lot of dollars returning back home. And this means more inflation for the Americans, high interests. Because basically it's all about resources in that part of the world You know, Israel and Americans, they want to get their hands on it. And this uranium bullshit, a bit like we're doing missions like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, with Harrison Ford. They want to do that. And this so-called mass land invasion force, if he decides to pull it off, how are you going to do it? Practically haven't got the numbers and all the resources if you want to do it in the next month or so. And while all the aircraft carriers are out of range of Iranian missiles or drones, I think the aircraft carrier which I mentioned before took a nice hit from drone, and it's technology which you can find commercially for drones. There's nothing military about them. Obviously the rocket man of North Korea is supplying them the missiles and all that stuff. Well, even the North Koreans are pretty good in this record technology. Very often they fire a rocket, and the Japanese, they soil a sumo wrestling pants. And it's obvious the Russians and the Chinese are backing. They're giving the West a taste their own medicine. Seeing NATO and America is giving intelligence Ukraine a hit targets in Russia. And obviously, if you manage to start hitting these assets, well, the Iranians already threatened already yesterday they're going to start hitting American interests in that region, the Middle East. You know, all the American companies, whether it's civilian or military connections, they say they're going to hit it. So they told everyone to evacuate and stay out of the radius of a mile. I think you should stay a lot more longer. And returning back to this archaeology thing of the Iranian, I think it's a race to prepare a warhead, or they already have one already. You never know. Their allies could give them certain warheads to spare. Even a generous offer from North Korea. The leader there says he's got things which in 30 minutes can even cancel a city off the face of the earth. And you know what that means? It's nuclear missiles, nuclear warheads, folks. And this regime change rubbish, it doesn't bring to no good for the war of the so-called West. What they call evil axis of evil. They just have more hawkish leaders, and obviously are rallying up the locals even more to fight the cause against the non-believers of the West. That's what it's basically all about. You know, people, when they're desperate, they do desperate things, and they're pretty stupid without analysing, using a bit of common sense in these cases, really. Well, it's not looking good, the situation in the world. Well, as you know, United Kingdom, first-hand information, you begin to see slowly queues at the service stations.